Sabrae.
Yes.
You're having a dream. You are sitting in that familiar, empty Dalish camp.
Mm-hmm.
Which can only mean one thing. Justice is there. He's sitting across from you. So he doesn't have the full reins of this dream. Like, he's leaving the details of this camp up to you. Is it still empty, or have you populated it with other elves, or specific elves, even?
Man,
you tell me.
if it was, like, around people, I would tell you no, because he's, like, ashamed. But because it's just, like, his actual secret thoughts, yeah, absolutely. It's, his whole family. He's got Lannon, he's got, whose family now, shut up. He's got Ren's there. I think it's, like, the clan that they're potentially thinking about joining, too. Like, part of him is, like, that's kind of the dream.
Sulanon,
yes. So that's sort of, like, there's almost this, like, dream where that's already happened, and they're all there. And there's, like, children playing in the background.
And definitely Naya.
Yes. Definitely Naya.
But it's all happening as kind of an indistinct blur just in the background of the stream. Your focus is drawn to Justice, who is sitting across the fire from you. He says, "Hey."
Sup? I sit down.
We should probably talk.
Should we?
No, we should talk. I've been kind of putting this discussion off because I know it's heavy for you, but we really do need to talk about this.
I'm, like, looking kind of at it, like, sideways, like, Justice is not talking about something? That's weird. It's usually very upfront.
He says, "It's gonna sound kind of conceptual at first, but I just want you to go with me. Stay with me on it, okay? I promise it's relevant."
Okay.
He's sitting on, like, a log. There's like 5 logs around the outside of this fire. He leans forward on his knees. He's silent for a minute and he says, what do you think the point of justice is? Like, in real terms, why do we have a concept called justice?
I look at him suspiciously. I'm like, this is about Merrill, isn't it?
He says, "Answer the question, smartass."
To set an example. To show others that this is what happens when you do wrong, so that they will not do it, and follow in those footsteps.
He says, "Okay. So, the point of justice, broadly speaking, is to prevent tragedy."
Yes. I nod hesitantly, like, I know this is a trap, and I don't like it.
He says, "Well, I agree with you. I agree that the point of justice should be to prevent tragedy. Because in real terms, it can't undo a tragedy that's already occurred, right? The best you can do is stop someone from doing the thing again. You can't uncrack an egg. You can't unkill someone. The only real point of justice is to make sure that the mistakes that were made will not be repeated.
And that others look upon the mistakes and know that if they were to do the same, this would be their fate."
He says, "You think that would work?"
I don't know, isn't that why they have public executions?
Well, that is the general explanation for it, but I invite you to consider the fact that when Merrill did this thing, she knew there would be consequences, right? Anyone who commits a crime always knows there are going to be consequences, and I invite you to consider the fact that crime still happens anyway. Justice can't be used as a bludgeon. It can't be used as a retributive thing. It needs to serve a purpose, and that purpose has to be something concrete. Punishing someone for something that's not going to happen again, what's the point of it? And I'm not trying to be glib. If you have an answer, I'd like to hear it. What's the point of punishing someone for something that they regret that they're never going to repeat?
How do I know? How does anyone know that they're not going to repeat it? How do you know they regret it and they're not just trying to escape the consequences?
How do you know they will?
I don't.
You can't see into someone's heart, my friend.
I don't know for sure, but surely past actions are an indicator of future actions.
They can be, yes. But sometimes extraordinary circumstances conspire. He says, look, I know I sound like I'm trying to be contrarian, but I promise I'm not. I'll be there and I will help you. And if you think that her death would prevent future tragedy, I will swing the blade myself. But you can't answer these questions half-heartedly.
I've been doing this so long. I have been on this path so long. I just don't know what else to do at this point.
He says, well, it's a hard thing letting go of anger and grief. But if you do let go, you have something else to hold on to now. You have your brother. You have your lover. You have a clan that you could join. You've been holding on to this hatred for so long because you're scared that if you let go, there won't be anything to catch you. But that's not the case anymore.
I look kind of warily at him and I'm like, you say that, but what? I hope you're right.
He says, I usually am. I'm very smart.
Roll my eyes at him. You're as bad as my brother. I will think on what you said.
He says, okay. That's really all I can ask. And like I said, I know it's hard to believe, but I am on your side with this.
You haven't done me a bad turn yet, my friend.
Elian.
Mm-hmm.
It's 3:00 in the morning. Leander collapses. It is the third time you've had sex tonight.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Apparently there was a lot of repressed stuff.
Oh my god!
Just a lot of it. Just a lot of stuff that has come out. And it's different, obviously. It's not as businesslike, but also sometimes he cries, like in the middle of things, just for no reason. And then, he'll ask, what's wrong? Why are you crying? And then he'll tell you about a cat that he saw 2 years ago that he wanted to adopt. But he couldn't adopt the cat.
That's worse.
Because he was tranquil and he couldn't feel any empathy for the cat. And he stands up and he's like, I have to go find the cat. And then you say, it's been 2 years. You have to come back. The cat's probably not there anymore.
Also, you're naked. Go come back.
It's kind of been a lot dealing with this. There's been a really high highs and there's been really, really low lows. And you're hoping, this is the third time, he's got to run out of steam eventually, right? You have to go to bed. You're so tired. He collapses next to you and he rolls over and he says, I have a favor to ask.
Yeah?
He says, he sits up and he looks like he's bracing himself for asking this question for you. And he says, it's kind of a big favor, but I trust you with this, and I know you'll help me if I ask, right? Even if it is, well, you'll help me, right?
Out with it?
I want to kill Ronan.
So Elian's been expecting this.
Yeah, honestly, it was kind of only a matter of time, right?
Yeah.
All the strong emotions are coming out, and hate is a pretty strong emotion.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said earlier, wasn't worried about the happy emotions, was worried about the bad ones.
But then there's also, I imagine most people would hesitate to try to assign who deserves to live and who deserves to die. But specifically this guy?
Yeah.
Specifically this guy, maybe you can make that call for yourself. But, it's a character decision still. So, Elian, what are you thinking?
I feel like a lot of really complex emotion passes through his face in seconds. He understands why he wants it. He understands the impulse. He himself wanted to kill him, had said,
yeah.
Be right in line behind him. But
actually talking about it, actually verbalizing it.
Yeah.
Probably another beast entirely.
Yeah.
He is sitting there sort of expectantly just staring down at you, waiting for some sort of reply.
I told you that I would support you, no matter what, and if that's really what you want, I will, but are there other ways we could make him pay?
You got any ideas? He's a powerful magister of Tevinter. And slavery is still legal. Technically, nothing he did to me has broken any law. People just have the right to have sex with their slaves against their will. It's just a thing that they're allowed to do. Even the right of tranquility, even making me tranquil wasn't illegal. I was never officially declared a mage, so I was still property that he could do whatever he wanted with.
I am not excusing anything that he did, but would killing him be enough? Would it make up for anything that he did to you?
He says, honestly, Alien, I don't think it's really about me. I mean, don't get me wrong, it would be super great to just watch the light go from his eyes, but he has 36 other slaves, and I know I'm not the only one that he has abused. And I mean, it's one thing to say it, right? Like, it's not about me,
yeah.
It's about the other slaves, but is it? To a certain extent, it's got to be about him.
Like, there's only so much you can divorce yourself from it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Elaine kind of sits up, because this is not just pillow talk.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's fair. And Leander's sitting up, too.
Wouldn't it be better to focus on the goals of the Lucerni, to end slavery, to get them out from under his thumb and help them that way? Isn't it just a little too tidy to kill him with no chance for retribution?
Here's an idea. Why not both? Why don't we kill him and end slavery? In that order, preferably.
I don't want you to be rash about it. And I know this is all you've thought about for a very long time.
Actually, you know what? I haven't really thought about it. I haven't had the emotional capacity to think about revenge. And now that I have been thinking about it, man, if the Maker does exist, there's some stuff going on in my head right now that would definitely send me straight to the void. I don't want to do every horrible thing that passes through my brain. And I know that killing him won't fix the institution of slavery, it won't fix what's broken in me, I don't expect it to, but if there's anyone in Minrathis who deserves to die, it's Demetrius Ronan.
I am not arguing for his life. Believe me, I agree with you on that. But does it need to be now?
You mean we can't just go out at 3 o'clock in the morning naked and smelling of sex?
I mean, you could in Orlais, but this is Minrathis. I don't know the conventions here.
He says, no, I know. I'm not talking about going out to his house now, and knocking on his door and killing him while we're both Starkers. I get it. But I feel like this has to happen, Elian. I feel like I'm not going to get a resolution unless I do something.
I just wonder if we're losing a little perspective. I mean, we're in a plight. We've got...
He says, well, I mean, we're going to have to take a break before Parvalin anyway, right? Sabrae and Ren need to go up to Tantervale. So while they're doing that, why don't we just fucking do a quick day trip? And if you think I'm stepping out of line, if you think that I'm doing something wrong, you can stop me.
I don't want you to regret it.
I am not going to regret killing Demetrius Ronan.
I think Elian just reaches over and laces hands with him. If you are determined to do this, I won't let you do it alone.
He grips your hand back and he says, this is going to be a lot, but I'm feeling a lot of things. One more time before sunrise, and then he pushes you back down.
Oh my god.
So, Sabrae, I am going to leave it up to you who you okay to bring with you. Like, first of all, who volunteers to come to Tantervale with you, and who you okay. So I imagine that at one point you had like a big discussion around the table and you just said, hey, me and Ren are going to Tantervale. And no one asked, but everyone kind of knew.
Yeah, that's fair.
And Leander was like, hey, good luck with that, buddy. You're going to have so much fun in Tantervale. I've got some stuff to do. So knowing that Elian and Leander are, unfortunately, like, Leander is taking you with him, Elian. He's got plans. And Dorian also feels like he should go just in case things get bad.
Yeah.
Dorian has known him for quite a while, even though he is tranquil. But still, like, he's just gonna come, just make sure everything's okay. It's gonna be fine. Don't worry about it. So barring Elian and Leander, who else do you think would volunteer to come? Specifically Kay. Cassandra, do you think she would want to come?
I feel like she does want to come, but she also feels like this is an insanely personal quest. Like, you know, like I'm here if you need me, but you also have, you know, big little sister, yeah, but also...
I guess Cassandra's presence would probably be more like Sabrae's choice then. Would you want to bring Cassandra?
No. It's so tough.
That's like such a personal quest. Like she definitely would be down to go with you, but at the same time she understands it's very extremely personal.
It's so tough. It's so tough because it's just like a huge part of it is that he's worried about what he's gonna do. You know what I mean? And he doesn't know how many witnesses he wants.
Lennon's already gonna be there, and you're like, damn it.
Who do I trust to help me hide a body if necessary?
I feel like he would absolutely trust Cassandra to hide a body for him. Like, but it's more about like if he. There's almost this idea that if he brings somebody along that he feels like he has to be more morally accountable to, and he's almost resistant to that idea.
So, what do you say? YN? Bring Cassandra?
Maybe I pull you aside, and I'm gonna like talk myself through it.
Sure.
So, I know you volunteered to come with me, which I appreciate.
Only if you want me to.
See, that's where I'm having a hard time. And it's not because I don't want you there, you know the backstory of this, right?
I've heard, yes.
What do you think the right thing to do is?
Quick, tell me your moral justification for my entire backstory, Cassandra, if you don't mind.
Just that question, though, like, the idea that you just like, hey, real quick, what do you think about this? She just, like, laughs at it like, my take? It's... Yariel, it's not my decision to make. I didn't live your life. You were not a mage imprisoned under the Qun, and I wasn't the one who lost my clan. It's not my choice. I can't make it for you.
I sort of slumped down. I mean, I knew that, but I don't know what to do, and I worry that the more people are there like you, people who I think are good people, maybe I won't do what I've meant to for so long. And I don't know how to feel about that. And I was hoping you'd just tell me yes or no, because that would just make life so much easier.
Unfortunately, Yariel, not everything can be a yes or no answer. I assume you talked to Justice already.
Yes. He's not being terribly helpful about the whole situation.
Well, on the bright side, if I don't go, you'll still have a month's worth of food. May has not stopped cooking. Seriously.
May has packed you 3 picnic baskets for every day you're there.
You will be able to feed every Dalish clan you happen across in your journey, and probably a city.
I don't.
The entire city of Tantervale, probably.
Ugh. I sort of bury my head in my hands, and I'm like, I suppose you should stay with May. Some decisions I need to make on my own, I guess.
She definitely hugs you and is like, if that's what you want, then I'll be here.
As you are hugging, Fenris comes out. He has a bag slung over his shoulder and says, I'm coming. Hawk will be coming too, but don't worry. We won't be there when you confront her if you don't want us to be.
Set my jaw kind of tight.
He says, for the record, I'm on your side.
Okay, well that makes me feel slightly better about you joining.
I was there in the aftermath. I had to pick up the pieces of Hawk before the incident with your clan, before your clan was killed. At worst, Hawk thought of her as a misguided but well-meaning blood mage. But afterwards, he shakes his head. He had the blood of a clan on his hands, and he blamed her, and he was right to blame her.
I agree with you, my friend, although I don't know... Well, I don't know anything.
That's all right. Don't bother thinking. And he, takes a sip from his flask and then says, anyway, let's go. And then he heads out. The champion of Kirkwall just casually strolls down the stairs. He says, hey, road trip, let's go.
It's not
Road trip! So, the final list of people that are going to Tantervale. Obviously, Ren and Yariel, obviously. Hawk and Fenris are coming because they actually know, where she is. They can, guide you to the alienage, that kind of thing. And Justice, I guess, indirectly. And Lannon. And that's it. Just the champion of Kirkwall, the Inquisitor. It's fine. It's a small traveling party.
Yeah.
You take the Alluvion through to Kirkwall, because Kirkwall is quite close to Tantervale. It actually shares a border with Tantervale. But it is still, 2-ish days on the road each way. What is going through Sabrae's head on that road to Tantervale?
I mean, honestly, it's just agonizing over it in spare time, and the rest of it trying really hard not to think about it.
Your day out of Tantervale. You're going to be arriving there probably by mid-afternoon tomorrow. And Lannon is taking over your watch. You've set up camp on a nice little mossy ridge. The free marches are really nice, especially in the summer. Well, actually, it's early spring now. They're very nice, cool, but very pretty. All the flowers are blooming. Lannon comes to take over your watch. He sits down next to you and he says, I was being serious last time we talked. If you feel like we should kill her, I'll do it for you if you ask me to. I will set her on fire, whatever you want.
For me, you'll set her on. It's the nicest thing anyone's ever said.
Aw, and he rubs your back. He said, I would burn down Tantervale for you, babe. It's okay.
Oh, wow.
I'm looking at him a little sideways, and I'm like, to be honest, this isn't really what I expected from you.
He says, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't have a vengeful streak or anything. It's not that. It's just, I know from experience what it feels like to be responsible for the death of an entire clan. And trust me, I've tried to justify it 12 ways to Sunday, and I couldn't do it. There isn't a justification.
This is upsetting. This is not what I wanted to learn from this. I'm looking at him, and I'm that's not the same, Lannon.
He says, it's similar enough. Trust me.
No, it's not the same at all.
He says, we both made decisions with catastrophic consequences. And maybe we couldn't have anticipated them, maybe we should have anticipated them, but either way, dozens of people are dead.
Yeah, but Merrill murdered people. You didn't murder anyone, Lannon.
You think it's different just because I didn't raise my staff against them? Is that the only distinguishing feature?
Yes.
He says, I am responsible for their deaths. They are only dead because of a choice I made. And I live with that guilt every day. It's not different. We are both responsible for what happened.
I'm looking really troubled. I can't. That's not how I see it at all.
He says, well, maybe you just got some rose-colored glasses because it's me. But I'm living it, and I'm telling you, it's the same.
Lannon, if you had killed those people, if you'd gone to your clan, what happened with you was a horrible, horrible accident.
You think it wasn't? You think she intended to do it? He says, I didn't mean to keep you up. And he kisses the side of your head and he says, go to bed. I'll take your watch.
I look at him ruefully and I just shake my head and then just walk away.
So Tantervale. Tantervale is one of the smaller regions of so the Free Marches is divided into, I think, 12, 15-ish independent city-states. Kirkwall is definitely the largest. It's the one right on the southern coast, close to Ferelden. And Tantervale is northwest of it. Tantervale, the city that you come into, it's modestly sized. It reminds you a little bit of Kirkwall. It's cleaner than Kirkwall, though. It's also not quite as grand. Like, Kirkwall built up a lot, but Tantervale seems to be built low and flat and sprawling. And it's quite busy. You come in through the main gates of Tantervale, along a big trade road. It's bustling with people, heading in every direction. But you're not interested in the human parts of the city, obviously, because you know that's not where Merrill is. She's in the alienage. That's how it was worded in Hawk's letter to you. She's in the alienage. And as you are crossing the city, Hawk sidles up next to you and he says, "You want me to go in first? Soften her up, make sure she doesn't fucking bolt." Or I could just leave. I could just leave too.
I appreciate the offer. Yes. I look at Ren for confirmation because it's both of us. I'm not just gonna be making decisions without him.
Ren seems to like the idea. Yeah, he doesn't. Ren, from everything he remembers about Merrill, is that she was just she was the sweet little girl. She was the first of. He remembers her as the first of his clan. He remembers her as being very sweet, and also she had a crush on him. He didn't know it because he's an idiot, but she definitely had a crush on him, so Merrill was especially nice to him. But just on the off chance, Yariel's completely right and she's going to bolt the second she sees them, sure, let's have Hawk talk to her first. You get to the alienage. The alienage in Tantervale is quite small proportionally. The alienage in Halam Sharal, it took easily a third of the city, because there are a lot of elves in Halam Sharal, because Halam Sharal used to be the ancestral home of the Dales. So it makes sense that a lot of elves live there. Tantervale's alienage is very, very small. It's maybe two city blocks wide. That's it. And it has the big Venedal growing out in the center. And it's decorated with streamers and painted very intricately. It doesn't ring much of a bell for you. The Venedal it has an elven name, but the word Venedal is just sort of like a bastardization of a couple different elven words. Alienage culture is very much its own culture. They tried to emulate the Dalish to varying degrees of success, but really they've just mostly forgotten most of elven culture. So it's a nice tree. You don't really understand the significance of it, but it's pretty. It's big. It's really big. So you head into the alienage. Hawk looks around. There's a busy marketplace in the early afternoon. People bartering, shouting over each other, exchanging goods. And he stops outside one particular door. He says, "All right, this should be her address." He says, "I guess wait outside?"
Guess so.
He thumps you on the shoulder. He opens his mouth Hawk has lived with this guilt too. He wants to say sorry, but there's no words that can really express the guilt that he feels. And so he figures he did his best when he first explained it to you, and that's just gonna have to suffice. Because there's no way he can express his regret. He did not intend for this to happen at all.
That's fair.
He thumps you on the back and says, "All right, wait here." He heads in, he knocks on the door, and he is expecting, whenever he went to visit Merrill in Kirkwall, he would always knock, and then he'd hear her say, "Come in," and then he'd go inside, so that's how he was used to it. But this time, the door opens right away, and standing right there, right in front of everyone, is Merrill herself.
I've got her knife out, by the way, and I'm just randomly picking my nails with it.
She opens the door, and the first thing she sees is Hawk, which he's a big dude. He takes up a lot of the doorway. And a lot of complicated emotions go across her face all at once. And she says, "Oh, Hawk, hello." You can tell, she wants to hug him, but then she's just, no, should she? She shouldn't. Should she? No, it's probably not a good idea, but it has been so long. And Hawk says, "Oh, I didn't expect you to just, hello, Merrill." He says, "Hello, Hawk. I didn't expect you to come visiting. Is everything all right? You look a little somber." He says, "Yeah, Merrill, it's not about me." And he kind of steps out of the way, and she sees you first, Sabrae. And the first thing on her face is a sudden, profound sadness. Not fear, not guilt, just grief.
Interesting. I think seeing her for the first time in forever just kind of like knocks the wind out of my sails. Like, you know, whenever you're like practicing all the things you're going to say to somebody, and then you see them and you're just like, well, fuck. So I just sort of like stare, holding her knife at my side.
She says, Yariel, She takes like a half hesitant step forward and she says, I didn't know you'd.
I step back. Because
And then Ren steps forward and she sees him and all the wind just completely, like she looks like she gets punched in the stomach and she says, Ren, how are you alive? What's going on? Hawk says, all right, it's fine. I promise there's a perfectly normal, well, there's an explanation. There is an explanation for why he's here. He's not some spirit from the Fade. She says, Ren, how are you alive? I can't believe. I heard the stories. Were they true? The keeper told me that you'd been taken by the Grey Wardens and that you'd died to killing the archdemon. And first of all, the keeper didn't tell you that, Yariel.
Yeah.
She says, the stories, were they true? How are you here if they're true? I thought you died killing the archdemon. Ren says, apparently there's some kind of magical explanation. Merrill.
So what, you thought you got us all?
What?
You're just surprised to see him as you are to see me? Thought we'd all died, and no one would ever live to hear to tell the tale of what you did to us.
Says, no, that's not that. I am delighted to see you. I know it doesn't really look like it, but would you like to come in? I've got water.
I look at Ren. But I'm just like, this is all weirder than I thought it was going to be, and
Ren says, well, it's probably not the best idea to just stand out in the middle of God knows where talking about it, right? Like, let's at least go inside.
I guess.
Hawk looks to you. Do you want him to come in?
No. I'm gonna shake my head no. This is a private conversation.
Nope, and Hawk gets it. He nods and he says, I'll wait outside. And Merrill says, you will? You don't want to come in? And Hawk's like, it's not really. And she says, oh, all right, well, I suppose that's fair. And then she steps aside and lets you all in. And she's got like this cozy little home. Like most buildings in the Alien Age are pretty dirty and they're pretty run down. But she's clearly taken something like a really dirty, dilapidated building, and she's kind of made it homey. Like she's clearly reupholstered all the furniture herself, and like all of the bookshelves are quite tidy. There's a nice bright fire roaring in the hearth. And there's a little table where she guides all of you to sit. Lennon is there. He's at your side. He has not introduced himself, and don't worry about that for now. She says, oh, please, feel free to sit down. Do you want water? I do have some water. I boiled it this morning, so it should be mostly free of parasites.
No.
Okay, that's fine. It's probably a little bit iffy either way. And she sits down at the chair, and Lennon looks at you, and then he sits.
I don't sit. No.
Ren sits. So you all, three of the four of you sit down. And Merrill says, so who's your friend? And Ren says, listen, Merrill, we really need to talk about what happened. And she says, oh, okay, if you insist. It's not a very good story, but I can tell you as best as I remember.
I just sort of like scoff.
She does not look the least bit offended.
God damn it.
She says, how much do you know?
How much do we know? How much do we know about the day that you murdered our entire clan? Well, that's a great question. The hard part is, see, with everyone being dead, that there weren't a lot of stories to go around. Mostly I know that I woke up and I had a clan, and then you came along, killed everyone, and suddenly no more clan.
She nods. Yes, that's pretty much how it happened.
I look at Ren and I just growl.
Ren isn't looking at you. He is watching Merrill very closely. She says, it was the worst day of my life. And I think about it every day. I go to bed sometimes with their screams still ringing in my head.
That's it?
What more do you want to hear?
There's no more context, there's no more excuses, you just...
No, there's no excuse for what I've done, Yariel.
I'm just like, I'm staring at her, and I'm looking at Ren, who I know isn't looking at me, but I'm just like trying to be like, well, what do you want me to do? Like, how is this not a straight invitation to just murder her?
He says, there was no way it could have been avoided? She says, I don't know, maybe. I think about it all the time. Things that I could have said, that Hawk could have said, that could have diffused the tension, that could have let us get out of there with our lives. Spells that I could have cast, maybe, or choices far back in my life that I could have done differently. I don't know what you want me to say, Yariel. I regret everything that brought me to that point. I regret ever picking up a blade and cutting into my own flesh to augment my power. Hawk was right from the beginning. The Alluvion wasn't worth my clan. It wasn't worth giving up everything. I spent so much time looking for the history of the Elvenon, desperate to bring back any fragment of our past that I didn't even see. I lost everyone to do it. She sort of doubles over herself and she starts blotting her eyes and she says, Is that why you're here? Are you going to kill me?
I have thought of very little else for a very long time. And I just sort of, like, turn away.
I certainly can't blame you. I've thought about it too a little bit. But it doesn't seem productive. It seems like the easy way out, you know? Like it would be a cheap way to end the pain. I've been spending most of my life bouncing around from one city-state to the other, helping the elves in the alienage as best I can. I thought about rejoining another clan, but I don't think I've earned that right, so I mostly stick to the alienages.
I'm just staring kind of bewildered. I think that, like, Sabrae really expected resistance, and this is not what he had imagined.
Ren says, You were trying to... You said you had an Alluvion? She says, Yes, Ren, it was the Alluvion that sickened you. It was the one that took you away from us. It was the reason you had to go join Duncan and become a warden. And I thought... I somehow got the wires crossed in my head. I thought that if I could fix this Alluvion, that it would fix everything. And of course it didn't. Tamlin was still gone. You were still gone. And in the end I couldn't even make the blasted thing work. I gave up everything and for nothing. And
people died. You didn't have to kill them all.
No, I didn't.
I think I take her knife out where I've been playing with it and I just, like, throw it really hard at the table.
She eyes it. She picks it up and turns it over in her hands and she says, I recognize this knife.
I have carried this, imagining the moment I get to slit your throat with it. And now, the moment is here and you can't even make it worthwhile.
Would it be easier if I yelled at you?
Sit down. Probably.
I'm not very good at being mean. I try. But, you know, it takes a certain kind of person to be really mean. I could give it a shot, though.
I look up at her. I really thought I could be the kind of person who kills someone in cold blood.
Oh, no. No, not you, Yariel.
I've done things. Lots of unspeakable things. Things that I was driven to do because of you. But today I find I can't do this.
Grief is funny that way. It can twist you away from who you are, trust me, I know. But at the core of you, I always knew you were a good person. And I'm not saying that in, a cheap way. I did know you were a good person. There was a reason Ren liked you so much. There was a reason everyone in the clan liked you so much. Ren, he's not looking at you or at her at this point. He's sort of staring down at the table. Eventually he looks over at you and he says, I don't see the point.
I look at him and I look at her. And I just sort of I thought I could be the person who enacts revenge, but I suppose even that is taken from me in the end.
He says, no one's taking it from you, Lethalon. If you really wanted to, you could jump across the table and slit her throat right now, and you know none of us would stop you. She's right, Lethalon. You are not the kind of person that does something like this.
No. I guess not. And I leave.
Ren stays, but Lannon follows you out. And Merrill leans over and says, who was that? He's like, don't worry about it, Merrill. It's not important. She says, okay. Lannon follows you outside and wordlessly just pulls you into a hug.
And I think, I just start sobbing.
Hey friends, Tessa here. If you're desperate to hear the next episode, chances are good that you can by joining our Discord server. We post links to all episodes and pre-release, and you can even chat with us and listen live as we record. Join us by going to bit.ly/CFCDiscord. For more information on the show, character biographies, and links to social media, head to our website, critfail.club or critfailclub.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. Crit Fail Club does not advertise at all, so if you like what you hear, tell a friend who might also like it, make a post on social media about it, or leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Full episodes are available on our YouTube channel, bit.ly/CFC channel, or wherever you get your podcasts.